what we're doing today is I just wanted to share with you my most commonly used way of preparing a coffee in the morning, because most of the time I'm actually not using the espresso machine, because espresso is a concentrated drink, and in the morning I prefer to enjoy a coffee instead of just a shot to wake me up. And I also, because I fast and I start eating at around 11 a.m., I try to drink only black coffee and water until then, and no food involved. And also milk is kind of heavy, so I'm basically limited to filter coffee and water. So what I do, instead of using an espresso machine, I use my Aeropress. Most of you probably know what's an Aeropress. If you don't, it's probably the best value for money coffee maker out there, because it's cheap and the coffee it makes is very good. So what I do is I make a big batch of coffee and I share it with Valeria, or sometimes I just drink it by myself. I make around 400 grams to half a liter of coffee, like that. And today I'm basically gonna show you how to make a big batch of coffee with the Aeropress. The Aeropress is actually not designed to make a huge batch of coffee, because this vessel over here where you're brewing the coffee fits only around 200 to 220 grams of water. But what we do is we'll make a brewing concentrate, basically, so a coffee concentrate, and then dilute it or bypass it with hot water later. This is a common way that people who are using the Aeropress are basically hacking the way to make a big batch of coffee, and it works very well. And I'll even show you the maths I'm using. So it's a simple calculation of brewing ratio and then bypassing water, and also the brewing time. So let's begin. What I have here is a washed Guatemalan coffee. It's delicious. Smells very fruity, very nice, and I probably have around 100 grams left, so that's good. We don't need to buy a new bag of coffee until maybe 4 days from now. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is measure 25 grams of coffee, and the way I'm doing this calculation for the brewing ratio is it's gonna be 1 to 16 brewing ratio. So 12.5 grams for 200 grams of water, or 25 grams of water for 25 grams of coffee for 400 grams of water. I'm gonna put all the coffee here and put 200 grams of water for brewing. And then what I'm gonna do is pour 200 grams of bypass water into the coffee concentrate that I'm gonna decant over here, like this, if that makes sense. The brewing time is gonna be 3 minutes, and I'll show you how it's done. So first you assemble the Aeropress in its inverted position. This is what it's called. This is what people call this. So as you can see, I just slide this little thingy inside like this, and this is where the coffee is going to go. I'm going to measure out 25 grams of coffee. There we go. And I'm going to turn the kettle on. Now, as far as grind setting goes, on the Sete 270, I'm using the 15H setting. So it's literally dead in the middle. And the way I adjust my recipes when it comes to the Aeropress is I take a very simple approach. I never change the brewing ratio and I never change the extraction time. The only thing I change is the grind. If the coffee that I make tastes bitter and unpleasant, next time I make it, I'll just grind coarser. And the opposite. If it's too weak, very watery, rancid, it just doesn't feel right on the tongue, it's very hollow, then I'll just grind, next time I'll just grind finer. So that way you're basically making life very simple for yourself. So no need to adjust brewing ratios and then, adjusting the doughs and so on. Keeping it very simple results in a repeatable, nice cup of coffee every time you're making it. So let's grind. There we go. This should be ready, but my scale turned off. So I'm gonna just check again how much water I have. How much coffee I have. There we go. 25 grams of coffee. Done. Now we're gonna wait for the kettle to warm up. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna take one of the Aeropress filters, a little paper thingy, very thin, and slide it into this little cap. When the water is warm, or actually I can do this with tap water, I'll just go to the tap and rinse the filter out. Now it looks like this. Very simple. The reason why we are rinsing the filter is apparently it leaves a certain papery taste when you're brewing coffee with an unrinsed filter. So we're just trying to avoid any flavor distortions. Let's put it that way. That's it. Here we go. I also have a stirrer for when I'm brewing the coffee. I'll just guide you along the way. It's gonna be a 400 gram batch of nice, hot, delicious coffee.
Yes, please.
And Valeria is also waiting for a coffee. So she's just excited as I am. It's the first cup of coffee. Let's see. Water should be just off the boil, so don't let your water do a rolling boil because then it's a bit too hot probably. So it was just starting to boil. What I'm gonna do now is pour 200 grams of water here. Start the timer and let's see what happens. So I'll just pour 200 grams first. Almost there.
It's bubbling.
Yes, it is. And now what we do is stir everything around or agitate the coffee for, I do it for 45 seconds.
Are you counting?
The timer is counting. I don't need to count. So I'm gonna stop agitating the coffee at the minute mark because I started agitating. when I was at 15 seconds, because that's how long it took me to pour all the water. Once you get used to making coffee with the Aeropress, this routine just gets automated basically. You know it takes you 15 minutes to pour the water. You know you need
15 minutes.
15 seconds to pour the water. You know it takes 45 seconds to agitate, so you'll be done by the minute mark. And then all you do, pop the cap. There we go. It's nice and firm. You just leave it. We're at the 1 minute 30 mark. So 1.5 minutes left. And in this time, while we're waiting, I'll just explain to you about how I have decided to brew this coffee for 3 minutes, because that's a valid question. Usually, if I'm making a cup of coffee only for myself, I would use 12.5 grams of coffee, 200 grams of water, and I would brew that coffee for 2 minutes, because if I brew it for 3 minutes, it's gonna be too bitter. But if I'm making a brewing concentrate and then I'm using bypassing water, I'm adding 30 seconds per 100 grams of bypassing water when I'm brewing the coffee. So that over here I have 200 grams of bypassing water, so I'm adding 2 times 30 seconds to the brewing time, which ends up to 3 minutes brewing time, if that makes sense. And I've tested this, and every time I do it, I have consistent, good results. So we have 30 seconds of added brewing time per 100 grams of bypass water. That way, it works perfect every time. We're at the 3 minute mark now. I'll take my decanter or any vessel you have to basically squeeze this coffee out of this big coffee syringe, because that's what it is. So just a big coffee syringe. Just swirl it around, because there is always some coffee stuck to the top. And now we press. No need to apply huge force to it. Just put your body weight on it and squeeze it out. I'm also going to pop the kettle back on to make some more hot water. That's it.
Nice.
There you go. And now we're going to put this on. This is our coffee concentrate basically. So if we tasted this would probably be a bit strong. Strong in the way of bitter, not very pleasant, might even be a bit dry. You know, it's not going to be enjoyable at the end of the day. But what I'm going to do is tear it and put 200 grams of hot water. Almost there. And now, don't forget to stir it. We'll swirl it. I prefer stirring, because we don't want, the concentrate is heavier than the hot water, so we don't want the concentrate on the bottom and then the hot water on the top. Just like with espresso. Good old stir. And there we go. Look at that. 400 grams of nice, delicious coffee for me and Valeria now to enjoy.
Yeah.
And where are the cups actually? There we go. Our favorite mugs. Mine has a snake on it. Hers has some parrots. And that's about it. So this is simple, easy to make. You know, no fuss. You know, you don't need to wait for the machine to preheat in the morning and so on. You know, and also it's a more, it's a slow, enjoyable coffee experience instead of when you have an espresso, you just drink it and that's it. You're fired up, ready to go. So this is more for those slow mornings where you just want to sit down, relax. You know, Valeria is going to have breakfast. I'm just going to wait another 3 hours because of the fasting. So it's all good, you know. Just look at that.
Yes, pour it. Thank you.
There we go. 2 cups of delicious coffee. Here we go, mate. Enjoy.
Finally.
So, thank you for tuning in, if anyone has tuned in. If not, thank you for watching it whenever you watch it. My name is Goran, this is the Majestic Bean channel. Valeria's behind the camera. And we'll just go and drink coffee now. So, thank you very much and see you next time. Bye. Valeria doesn't know how to do live stream, so you need to press the X on the top right corner.
Okay. And hi, Happy Smoking 100, and hi, Massimo Filippo. All right, let's stop.